guys, I gotta tell you about Mud Water. This stuff has been a life changer. My old cup of coffee, forget about it. Mud Water gives me sustained energy with no crash and no jitters. It's just smooth, focused power as fall hits. And the holidays are getting crazy. Staying focused is key. That's where Mud Water shines. It's a coffee alternative. It's made with chai, cacao, and adaptogens, like lion's mane, reishi, and chaga. You get the boost without the 3 p.m. crash or the sleepless nights. Plus, it's 100% organic. It's vegan. It's got no sugar. Using Mud Water is easy. Take a scoop of the powder, stir it into some water, you are good to go. Want to make it more fun? Sometimes I throw some creamer in. My father-in-law uses honey. And if you don't want caffeine, they have got you covered with caffeine-free blends too. Now let me tell you the deal. I want you to head to mudwater.com/Chael. I want you to start with a starter kit. Right now, I can get you 25% off your entire order. That's mudwtr.com/Chael. And when you get there, tell them I sent you. Stay sharp and stay focused this fall with Mud Water. Guys, real simple. Click on the link below. Paul and Tyson. I would be doing the opposite of promoting this right now. I would be throwing water on it. And I must tell you, I will continue to do that for the reason that they've already succeeded. I don't want to hurt this event because this could be something very special. And there is definitely an awesome nostalgia around the fact that Mike's fighting. I remember the night that he fought Roy Jones. Oh my goodness, the numbers they did were just crazy, and the event was so bad. And I only say that I just remember as a viewer going, "Oh no, whoever's idea this was to send a demographic back 20 years. Did they do slap? Were they slapping or maybe they're arm wrestling? And to do all the different things that they did were very bad ideas. And I'm going to have to put up with it in the future because the number did 1.7 million. So whoever came to the table with those ideas is going to walk in the room and right? And be the one that they look to. Great job. It's like, no. You overspent, you missed the mark, but you had Mike, which was huge. And I remember where I was when the announcement of Paul and Tyson came out. I was live. I was doing Patrick Bet David. And Patrick stood down on the show and throws us up on the big screen. Hey, breaking news. And Patrick is so diverse, by the way. He is such an interesting guy. I don't know what he loves more. I think they put him in the category like political talk. I think he likes fighting number one, at any rate. It was a fun moment, and I do remember when they did it, and I remember coming to you guys on YouTube. I remember telling Patrick in the moment, "Hey, something's off here. I don't believe this." And Patrick saying, "Chael, it's confirmed by ESPN. You work for ESPN. Are you doubting them?" No, I'm not. But I remember this in the moment. I remember a feel, and then coming to you guys. Maybe I'm coupling those ideas, but there was something very peculiar about it. And TMZ dropped it. It ends up CNN drops it, but they all dropped the same thing. They all went on the wire and got the same press release. And the poster showed Mike, and it showed Jake Paul, and Netflix, which was an equally big part of the story. And still is. What is Netflix's intent here? Don't forget, Netflix signed the WWE. When did they do that? They did that in April? I think they signed the WWE and that got announced after this fight was announced. I could have those orders off. But you see where TKO comes in. And you see where it would be very interesting. What is Netflix's intent here? Whether they succeeded it or not. What is their intent? It's a big part of the story. But this is also what's on the poster. You got Jake Paul, you got Mike Tyson, you got Netflix, you got a date, you got Dallas, which makes absolutely no kind of sense. You don't have the word fight, and you don't have the word box anywhere on the poster. And for a fight announcement to somehow get through the editing and art department and fail to say fight or box was peculiar. And I guess I had a little bit of a conspiracy theorist mindset to it because it didn't add up. Netflix had never done a fight. So I'm looking at that. That's either interesting or that's a clue that this off. Now, I understand that it came around and it turned out that was accurate. But I was still maintaining, and people do not understand, box is a legal term. Fight is a legal term. And if you're going to sell tickets to something, knowing something that you advertise is not going to happen, somebody goes to jail. And people do get lost in that. Well, they're boxing. Okay, says who? Because that's a legal term. So how are you using that? Well, they got boxing gloves on. They're throwing hands at each other. Okay, great. That isn't boxing. I get where Dum-Dum would think that's boxing, but not a smart guy. I think it's associated with Netflix. They would understand that is a legal term and that would never get out. And somebody left fight and they left boxing off the poster. So I'm just sharing with you. Share with you my initial feeling is there's a little more to it. They're getting ready to do something. They're working together. There's an angle. There's an interest. We got good marketing. We have not been lied to. But we haven't been told anything. We don't have a weight class. We don't have rounds. We have nothing. We have no sanctioning body, WBO, IBF, IBA, all of these completely fake organizations, but they run the sport, right? So comes out that, no, they're getting ready to do something. And there was one question that everybody asked, and they would ask it of me when I would get asked about this. Why? And we could understand it from Jake Paul's standpoint. We could understand it and not even have to ask Jake Paul. He is an entertainer. He is a draw. He is a star. He is a celebrity. This is what he's doing. It is consistent with what he's doing. So asking him why was never even something he needed to answer, but it was something Mike needed to answer. And to this day, it's only been answered by other people. And other people have all said money. Now, I must tell you, I don't know Mike Tyson. I couldn't reach out and ask him. I know his manager. I could reach out and ask him, but I didn't. Because I know it's not money. I'll just share with you, I know enough about Mike's life. I was in the Middle East with him earlier this year, just by example. I know what Mike can command, and I know that he, one, does not need the money. Two, he's not short of money. You got to understand that it's very relevant from a boxing standpoint. A guy does have to go and fight for money. It is the only way to monetize himself is the performance of boxing. And the moment that he's done boxing, he is done monetizing himself. But that isn't true with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson can make money being Mike Tyson. It's very rare. There's not a lot of people that can do that, particularly post-career, particularly 2 generations removed. So it is relevant. Like, yeah, he's going to get one great big lump sum. I understand that, but you're talking about what he's going to go through. You're talking about the risk. You're talking about all the stuff and all the appearance money and everything that he gets. He goes down to a smaller Disney kid. The gig is up. I mean, it is a risk of risks. And I can tell you, I don't know why he's doing it, but he's not doing it for the money. So why is he doing it? And great piece of the story, right? I would have loved to have heard it. I never did. And in addition, Mike likes Jake. Mike has commented on Jake Paul a number of times. And while perhaps they are not friends, they are most certainly friendly. Jake wants to be part of the community. He's worked his ass off. He's taken huge risks, physical and financial, to be part of this community. That is one of the figureheads of the community. He would not come in and disrespect him any more than anybody would come into MMA and disrespect anybody with the last name of Gracie. It just simply would not happen. It never has happened. So, are they fighting? Are they boxing? I still ask that same question. It certainly appears, and they are certainly getting ready to do something. But I'll ask you a question. Are you going to accept anything other than a knockout? If you believe that Jake Paul's going to beat him up as a setup and he's fighting an old man that was quite literally taken off an airplane in a wheelchair and had to have a fight canceled and can only fight in one state that will sanction this. I mean, that's what you got. But if you're of that mindset, are you going to accept that Jake Paul, who is an extremely well-conditioned athlete, is going to move around for 8 rounds and let a guy survive? That 5 years ago had a very difficult time just making the time limit according to himself? And you accept that, or is Jake got to knock him out? And I don't think any of you believe that Mike Tyson is going to go outpoint Jake Paul. I don't think any of you, including huge Mike Tyson fans, can tell me a single time he outpointed anybody, and that includes the amateurs. He has done it. He has done it a number of times. I don't think you can tell me one. I'm pausing. Go ahead. You can't. So, are you going to accept anything less than a knockout? I'm asking you that from a perspective of what if it's not? And then I'm going to ask you from the ultimate perspective of if whatever happens and whatever you see, and it ends in a draw, whether the fix was in or not, we as a community are going to be given a giant middle finger, and we're going to believe that the fix was in. So I think that we have something to look forward to here. I am looking forward to it. But I am sharing with you that the idea of coming out of this thing and having your stock rise, very hard for Jake Paul. Vitor Belfort went into a wildly difficult situation, was to fight Evander Holyfield, not just fighting Mike Tyson. He's going to fight the guy that beat Mike Tyson. And Evander was so unprepared for that match in comparison to Vitor. It ended Vitor's career. It was one of the most unfair things that I have ever seen happen to an athlete. Vitor, who had to be scared to death to walk in there. Because what we ended up seeing of Evander being unprepared, but he didn't look it. Looks like he's carved out of stone. That's still Evander Holyfield. Trying to say that he's too old to fight while Vitor's got kids that are in college himself. It was a very unfair thing that happened to Vitor. But if Jake Paul does anything less than that, are you going to accept it? Are you going to accept that this was straight? Are you going to pat him on the back and say, good job? Doesn't Jake have to knock him out? I'm asking you. And do you believe that Mike could win any other way than a knockout? And if he does, if one of the most feared of all time, who is taking on a middleweight, most feared heavyweights of all time is taking on a 185-pounder. Are you going to accept anything less than a knockout? And then you do have the ultimate disaster, which if you're at all a betting man, you got to really consider, which is what happens if this is a draw. Whether it was a competitive fight or not, meaning they're trying to beat each other, whether it is or not, if it ends in a draw, it's not going to give that appearance, is it?